Spurs up next for Manchester United at Old Trafford. These are going to be your 5 things to expect from the game. But before we do get into it, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts on Manchester United's game against Spurs. And let's get straight into it. Now, Manchester United go into the game as probably the most informed team in the Premier League. Now, we've seen Carrick's press conference. The preview has obviously already been done. But listen, United are favourites going into the game. I would say yes, we don't have a good record against Spurs, but Spurs are not in great form at the minute. I think it's 2 wins in their last 14 games. They're struggling for momentum. They're struggling for confidence, and I think that's the team that Manchester United can really take advantage of. Now you look at sort of the team news going into the game. Now Delit and Mount are the two players that are still out, and I'm going to go into my team now. So the team that I would pick in this game would be obviously Lamons in goal. The back four, now, as I said in the preview, I would probably go with Delo, and I don't think he changed that. But the only change that I would make, if I was to make one, would be Mazraoui in for Delo. I mean, there comes to a point where I think Carrick will probably realise that Mazraoui is a better player than Dalot. But Delo's form right now has been pretty good. But I think Mazraoui, for me, is the better right back, more complete right back, and better defensively. Probably less offensive output, but I think what Mazraoui offers for United is better than what Delo offers. But again, I wouldn't be kind of unhappy if Delo start because he's been very good in the past few games under Carrick. Now the centre backs again, Martinez and Delit. Why change it? Martinez and Maguire. Sorry, they've been working very very well defensively. They've been very physical against the Spurs side, who we know are going to look to get into behind, and they have the physical presence of Solanke. I think Maguire can deal with that. And he had a very good game against Spurs. I believe he came on, or did he go off? But he had a good game against Spurs last time we played him. And I think he's definitely been a good player for United this season. And I think his quality being good. As well as Martinez as well. Left back, obviously Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's a player who, again, we need to see a bit more offensive output. He does get forward, but I think his final ball delivery in the past few games haven't been great. But we know the threat of Spurs down that right hand side with Xavi Simons, Gallagher, potentially Archie Gray, depending on the formation that they play. Now into midfield, Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo have been United's probably best combination. We've seen a very good relationship build between those two. It's sad that it's going to be coming to an end at the end of the season, but ultimately in this game, you need the energy and experience from Casemiro from the performance you've seen against Fulham. And Kobbie just needs to continue what he needs to do, bossing the game, controlling the midfield, putting balls in behind, dictating play from deep, making runs. And that midfield of Spurs is quite energetic, whether that's Polina, whether that's Gray. But Kobbie's ability on the ball is better than all of this. So I do back him in this midfield. I think it's going to be a good game from Kobbie. And then you got Bruno in the 10. Obviously, he's chasing that assist record, has a decent record against Spurs. I think in the game against Fulham, it was a different sort of game to what we've seen against City and Arsenal. I think we were able to get Bruno into the spaces against particularly City, but against Arsenal less so. I think in this game against Fulham, you need to press them. They can definitely make mistakes. I think Bruno is key to that press, and I think his quality. I do back Bruno to get a few goals and assists in this game, if I'm being honest. I think his quality this season's been fantastic. And against a Spurs defence that's looking a bit misshapen, I think he can definitely cause a few problems. Now, the front three, I'd have to go in Mbeumo, Cunha and Ahmad. I think it's really tough for Sesko to leave him out. I mean, scoring a winner at the Stretford end, you should be starting this game. But what Carrick and what the other three players have done in the past few games have been brilliant. I think Ahmad, he's a constant goal threat. He's looked very sharp in the last game. He can definitely get out Udogi or whoever plays on the left for them. And I think he's a real goal threat. I think his defensive ability is something that's been very underrated this season as well. And Spurs are going to look to get forward. And I think if we see the Spurs that we saw in the second half against City, Ahmad will have to defend, and the whole team will quite have to defend quite a bit. On the left, Matheus Cunha, again, you want him to drift inside, create that overlap for Luke Shaw, and that space for him to enter. I think Cunha, again, he's looked really sharp. He's getting contributions now in the last few games. A goal against Arsenal, a goal against Fulham, an assist against Man City. He's looked real sharp. And we just need to see him surfing again, because I think he had a very good performance against Fulham, and he's really starting to kick on now. And then Mbeumo through the middle. I think Mbeumo is just a clinical, lethal finisher. And as I said, Spurs make a lot of mistakes in their half, and that's where ultimately City's goals came from. And I think utilising players like Mbeumo and Bruno with the press out of possession and looking to kind of pounce on their mistakes, I think there's probably not anyone better in that United team that I'd want than Mbeumo, to be honest. So yeah, that's my team. Now let's look at United for it. As I said, we need to press them. Spurs are a team who have made quite a few mistakes in the past few games defensively, and if they're missing Romero, they're missing Van de Ven. United need to make up on these mistakes. And listen, we don't have a good record against Spurs. We've struggled against them. I think the last time we beat them was October 2022. They've beaten us in the Europa League final. We got a draw with them this season in the league at the Tottenham Hotspur ground. We need to utilise the threats that we have because we've been on great form this season, and I think some of the tweaks that I've seen from game to game from CARRICK have been quite impressive. Now in this game, again, I think the press needs to be on point. You need to look for those mistakes from Tottenham, and I think ultimately that will lead United to a bit of success. I think also we need to be a bit more clinical with our chances. We had quite a few chances against Fulham to put the game to bed, and we just weren't clinical enough. I think also we need to I think a player of threat here would be Ahmad. I think the width that he can add to United, cutting inside, like in that first 45 against Fulham, he had Robertson on toast. So you want to see that again from him, and also the quality from obviously Bruno that we know we can do. But United have threats all over the pitch, and if I was to look at Tottenham's sort of weak point in their team, it would be Archie Gray in the fact that if they do play with that back five or back three or whatever, he's not a natural right back or right wing back. He's probably played there once before. He's not, and I think that's something where we can exploit with Shaw, Cunha down that side. Also, Udogi hasn't been great this season, and Dragusin on that left as well. I mean, you could potentially see a back three of Polina, Dragusin and Romero. United need to exploit that. And there's no doubt with the quality that we have, we could definitely do that. Now let's look at Spurs. As I said, they're a team who, no matter what form they're in, they can always have a good game against United. They've beaten United on the last 4 occasions, I believe, or more than that. They're a team that currently sit 14th in the league. They've got significantly most of their points away from home. They've beaten Man City this season at the Etihad. And their away record is pretty impressive. We know the danger men that they have. They are missing a lot of players, the likes of Richarlison, Kudus, Pedro Porro, Van de Ven potentially, Jed Spence. Like, there's a lot of players that they're missing from this game. But they still have a quality team. And Thomas Frank in the second half had them playing very, very good against City, and they got 2 goals from that. Now, they're a team, as I said, they've been a bit of a bogey team for Manchester United, I'd say. They've got the better of United on many occasions of recent. But as I said, 12 games played away from home. They've won 5, drawn 4, lost 3. Significantly better than their home form, where they've only won 2 out of a possible 12. So their away form is better. As I said, they're a team that can create chances. They're a team that can switch it up. I've watched quite a few games of Spurs this season. I remember in the FA Cup they got dismantled by Villa and deserved so. They were just poor that game. I watched them against. I watched bits of the game against City. They weren't great. Obviously, they've lost to West Ham. So, listen, they're a team you can definitely get at. But they do have threats. And I think their main player this season is going to be Xavi Simons and Conor Gallagher in that midfield. Like, those 2 players, obviously Simons a new signing, so too Gallagher. But they're a team, or they're players with energy who can make an either need or pass or put a cross into the box as Gallagher did against City. So they have threats all over the pitch, and I think it's going to be very difficult to kind of stop them. But I back Manchester United with the defenders that we've had, the likes of Maguire, who've been very good this season. I mean, Spurs actually do have more clean sheets than Manchester United. Considerable amount, to be fair. United are on 3. Spurs have 7. So, listen, they're a team who have a decent record in that. But if you look at the amount of goals they concede per game, 1.4, and they score 1.5. So similar to United stats and such, they kind of score as many as they concede, really. So I expect it to be a game of goals. I'm excited for the game. Hopefully United get the job done. Now let's talk about the 4th thing. United just need to get the job done, man. I know that's for every game, but listen, Chelsea, if you look at some of the matches this week in the Prem, Chelsea play Wolves, you expect them to get a win there. Arsenal play Sunderland. Villa play Bournemouth. Now, that is a difficult game. Villa obviously lost to Everton a few weeks ago, and they haven't looked great since that. Now, if they were to lose and United were to win, that would leave us 2 points behind Aston Villa. So it really is tight margins behind that. Liverpool obviously play Man City, so again, you expect one of them to drop points. So again, that's good there. So it really is down to United to get the job done. Spurs are not in a great sort of side, and we need to be taking up these opportunities. You look at some of the opportunities we missed this season. Wolves was a perfect opportunity to get 3 points. West Ham, Everton, the list goes on. Leeds, Bournemouth, like these were, United would have been top of the league. Like, again, it's fine margins, but ultimately, a lot of points there that have been dropped. We can't afford to drop points against Spurs. They've got the better of us, but I think United are the better team right now. And listen, we can't beat City, beat Arsenal, beat Fulham in the way that we did 3 different performances, and then kind of lose to Spurs. It kind of just diminish all what we've done. And United need to keep up the form. We need to get the job done. Now, the fifth and final thing, the result. Look at Spurs' last few matches. Scored 2 against City, 2 against Frankfurt, 2 against Burnley, 2 against Dortmund. So they are a team that scores goals, but they also do concede. 2 against Burnley, 2 against City. United, on the other hand, in their last few games, obviously scored 3 against Fulham, but conceded 2. Scored 3 against Arsenal, conceded 2. Scored 2 against City, didn't concede any. So, listen, I'm going to go... I think I went 2-1 in the preview. I'm going to go... I'm going to go 3-1. I think United, in terms of goals, Bruno's had quite a few assists in his last game. Cunha's got a few goals, and Burmo. And back in Ahmad, to score. I mean, I can't remember the last game in which Ahmad scored, and it'd be nice for him to get a goal. I think his performances have warranted a goal and needed a goal. So, yeah, I'm hoping Ahmad will get a goal for United. He's been fantastic this season. His last goal contribution for United was before AFCON now against Bournemouth, where he got a goal. So, yeah, listen, I'm hoping Ahmad sort of can get a goal. I think that'd be good for him. But yeah, I'm hoping United get the win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, match reaction, all that stuff coming after the game. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe.